Okay, so today I'm doing my March 2024 monthly wrap, and my goodness, is this going to be an action-packed monthly wrap. I started off the month knowing that I was not going to be able to read two of the books that I had on my March TBR. I ended the month reading the first two books on my April TBR. So despite what I thought would be roadblocks in me being able to achieve reading 12 books, I ended up doing that anyway. And honestly, it was an absolutely fantastic month overall. So let's take a look at the star rating, the stats, including the star ratings, because when we get to the star ratings, you'll see what I mean by it being an absolutely amazing month overall. To start off with, I, as I said, read a total of 12 books, and they comprised of 5 cozy mysteries, 2 LGBTIQ pluses, 2 fantasies, 2 romance contemporaries, and 1 classic. To my age groups, I read 2 middle grades, 2 YA, and 8 adult books. To my lengths, and this is, where a lot of the total numbers came from, I read 1 tome and a half, which is 750 pages plus, 2 tomes, which is 500 pages plus, and then 5 half tomes and 4 novellas, for a total of a record for me, at least for this year, of 4,483 pages read in the month, which is huge. Oh my goodness. To my star ratings, and I had 7 5 stars, 3 4 stars, and 2 3 stars. No 4.5 stars, no 2 stars, no 1 star. But as you can see there, of the 12 books that I read, 7 of them, 7, got the highest possible rating they could get of 5 stars. So not only did I read a lot of books this month, but a lot of them were just perfect. They were absolutely fantastic. So I can't wait to share each and every single one of them with you. Okay, so we're going to start off with 2 books that I did purchase but did not read, for both for different reasons. The first being Holiday Buzz by Cleo Coyle. I have no idea what number this is. Is it like number 10, 11, 12? It's one of them. In the Coffee House Mystery Series, I ended up DNFing the Coffee House Mystery Series after the first 10 books, but I'd already purchased Holiday Buzz because it took a while for some of the others to come in, so I ordered this way in advance to make sure it was here and then DNF the series. So it is what it is, and I'll unhaul the book and I'm sure someone else will enjoy it. But yeah, that's why with that one. And also this book, Ravage by Ian Rob Wright, is book number 3, I believe, or is it book number 2? One moment. Shows how prepared I am. I think it's book number 2 in the Ravaged World trilogy by Ian Rob Wright. Very quickly, I've said this in a number of videos, but in case you missed them, the first 2 books in this trilogy are no longer on Audible. They were when I was creating my SAS list. I've spoken to Ian Rob Wright. He got back to me personally to let me know that those audiobooks expired. I didn't know audiobooks expired on Audible, but there you go. And he is having them redone when the first 2 books are re-released, because the 3rd book is there but 1 and 2 is not there. I will then put all 3 of those books onto that month's TBR and get through them all at once. But that's why those 2 books weren't read. But now let's talk about the books I did read. Okay, so the first book that I read, officially completed, in March of 2024 was this book, Shadow Princess by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. This is book number 4 in the Zodiac Academy series, and it was incredibly long. Yeah, a good, 670 pages for the paperback, and it's quite tall too, so a very long book, but I'm not complaining at all because, my goodness, do I love this series. Now, this is marketed as an adult fantasy. It also has spicy moments, so be warned going in. But I gave this book 5 stars, as I have most of the books in this series. This is fast becoming my favourite series of the year. So the premise of this particular one is that after the events of the lunar eclipse, Tori and Darcy must learn to deal with the darkness which shadows their lives. With a secret binding them to Darius and Orion, they must find a way to all work together for the greater good. But some things are easier said than done. So to my thoughts, actual tears. I cried actual tears at the end of this book, which shows just how invested in this series I have become. I did not appreciate the sudden ending at all. I don't want to move on and read other books, but I'm somehow going to force myself to. The whole series, as well as this book, are amazing. But the final fifth of this book was full on in the best possible way, and I know I will suffer a book hangover with this one. I am counting down the days till April when I can read book number 5. Can I hold out that long? All of those things, very, very true. The book had a very sudden ending, so be mindful of that when you go in. If you're enjoying this series as much as I am, you may want to purchase book 4 and book 5 together, so that when you finish book 4, you can jump into book 5. Spoiler alert, for a little later on in this monthly wrap, I have read book 5, and book 5 picks up exactly where we left off at the end of book number 4. So, yeah, I was really happy about that. But the way the book 4 ended, it was so sudden. I cried tears, I was very emotional, and, yeah, suffered a major bookish hangover after reading this one. 5 stars from me. The next book that I read was this book, How to Lure a Hunter by Alice Winters. This is book number 3 of 5 in the VRC Vampire-Related Crimes series. It is it's basically an adult... I don't really even know what this is, but going off of what Goodreads is calling it, it is an adult male-male romance that includes vampires, paranormal, romance, fantasy, and mystery, and that is very true. It's all of them. I kind of shorten this in my own way to calling it like a male-male version of a cozy mystery, basically. But anyway, let's talk about this particular one. I love this series as well. The premise of this one is when Marcus Church brings his brother Claude in to help solve an unusual murder, Alexei is positive he did it just to disrupt his monotonous life. None of his co-workers in the vampire-related crimes unit seem to understand that he wants to keep a wall between himself and everyone else, especially Claude, who does everything he can to break through it with an annoying smile. After more vampires begin to die, Claude pinpoints the actions of the killers to a group of vampire hunters, leaving everyone in a race to stop them. When Alexei discovers that he has a target on his back, he is surprised that Claude insists on staying by his side, even when things go from bad to worse. Alexei is determined to keep Claude out. He's lost enough people in his life, but Alexei can't stop feeling something every time Claude breaks through. And so to my thoughts, I loved this book so much. I love the series so far as a whole. I love the VRC unit so much, and I'm so invested in all the characters. Normally, I don't like when series change just perspectives in different books, but in this case, this is exactly what Alice Winters needed to do. It was so good to get to know Alexei better, but also to get to know his backstory, which becomes integral to the case. An added bonus was Alexei as a person and the hilarity of his opinions. He is so frank and direct about his opinions that they catch you off guard and make you laugh out loud. Truly a joy to read, and I'm looking forward to book number 4. It was just absolutely fantastic. So in the first 2 books, we follow Finn and Marcus, but in this one, we still have Finn and Marcus in the background, but in this one, instead, we are following Alexei and Claude, and we come to know of Alexei in the first 2 books, so it was good, as I say, to get to know his backstory. But his humor, I was laughing all the way through this book because he is just so frank with his humor. And it was just so fantastic, given that we're dealing with all these, serious things to do with the crimes that have been committed and stuff like that. His humor, Oh my gosh, have me in the best mood. An overwhelming 5 stars for this one. The next book that I read was this book, Death of a Clam Digger by Lee and Hollis. This is book number 16 and currently the latest published book in the Hayley Powell Food and Cocktail Mystery Series. I love this series. I can't wait for book number 17. It's coming out this year. It's about gingerbread something. I'm very excited. But anyway, the premise of this book, food and cocktails columnist Hayley Powell usually reserves judgment for local cuisine, not the people who serve it. But staying neutral isn't so easy when caught between the biggest seafood rivals in town, her BFF Mona Barnes and the successful Leighton clan, adding to a bitter decades-old surf-turf war between family businesses. A modern Romeo and Juliet story unfolds as Mona's son gets engaged to the daughter of her sworn enemy. Spiteful patriarch Lonnie Leighton is also steamed about the arrangement, enough to go to dangerous lengths to break it up, at least until he's discovered face down and dead in the clam flats. With unanswered questions swirling, accusations flying in both directions, and a young couple stuck in the middle, Hayley has bigger fish to fry than determining who sources the best shellfish in Bar Harbor, because someone wants to get away with murder and send whoever else gets in their way to a muddy grave. So to my thoughts, trying to be quick because I've got a lot of books to get through here. Overall, I love this book and I'm sad to have to wait now till late September for the next one, but at the same time, so happy to achieve the goal I set out to achieve starting back in late 2022 of getting through this series. As for this particular book, all the usual things I love about the series, I still did in this book. I love Hayley as a protagonist, I love her friends Liddy and Mona, and I love that the column is still in this book to this day. In saying that, the theme for this book, food recipes, was clams, and I don't like seafood, so that was personally not fun for me to read. Also, the mystery wasn't fantastic. In saying that, it was still a solid read, and I'm very much highly anticipating book number 17, and I gave this book 4 stars. The next book that I read was this book, Love and Luck by Jenna Evans Welch. This is book number 2 of 3 in the Love and Gelato trilogy. It is a YA romance contemporary, and I gave this book 5 stars. So the premise of this one is that Addie is visiting Ireland for her aunt's over-the-top destination wedding and hoping she can stop thinking about the one horrible thing that left her miserable and heartbroken and threatens her future. But when Addie discovers an unusual guidebook, Ireland for the Heartbroken, hidden in the dusty shelves of the hotel library, she's finally able to escape her anxious mind. Suddenly, Addie finds herself on a whirlwind tour of the Emerald Isle, trapped in the world's smallest vehicle with Ian and his admittedly cute Irish-accented friend Rowan. So to my thoughts, I really loved watching Addie's journey in this book. Speaking of books, the writer of Ireland for the Heartbroken is brilliant. As with book 1, I loved how Ireland for the Heartbroken was pieced and parceled throughout this book. In book 1, we had that with a journal. This was a fantastic book. I wouldn't call it a romance, though. I'd simply call it an amazing, hard-hitting contemporary. Fantastic stuff. Once again, Jenna Evans Welch, and again, I gave it 5 stars. The next book that I read was this book, In Farm's Way by Amanda Flower. This is book number 3, as of now, of 4. Originally, I only thought there were going to be 3 in the series, but there are 4, and I'm waiting for 4 to come out before I officially close out this series in the Farm to Table mystery series. And I gave this book a total of 4 stars. It is an adult cozy mystery. So the premise of this one is Shiloh Bellamy still expects the next few months to be busy with repairs, spring planning, and networking with local businesses. She might even be able to broker a new partnership with Fields Brewery and its Organic Brewers Association. Well, she could if the owner wasn't found murdered at the Country Ice Fishing Derby. Once again, Shiloh gets tangled up in the investigation when the police ignore an entire crop of suspects to blame one of her friends. She'll have to dig deep to find the truth, reel in the killer, and convince her city slicker pug to wear his winter boots, which was really adorable, by the way. So to my thoughts, I have to say this series has grown on me. Book 1 was meh, book 2 was good, and this one was good too. I love Shiloh and her pug, and it was great seeing more of her father being in his fishing element in this book. The mystery was intriguing, but the reveal was way too quick. I wish we'd gotten more out of it. I am looking forward to book number 4, and I gave this one 4 stars. The next book that I read was an absolute gem, and that was this book, Eli Over Easy by Phil Stamper, one of my absolute favourite male authors, and that also male hard-hitting contemporary authors of all time. This particular one is a middle grade male contemporary with also culinary parts pieced in as well, which I enjoyed. And I gave this a total of 5 stars. So the premise of this book is the last few months have been pretty tough for Eli. He moved to New York City and left his small town in Minnesota with his extended family and everyone he knows. He hasn't made any new friends, and his mum died unexpectedly, shattering his whole world. He misses mum more and more every day, but dad refuses to talk about her, leaving Eli alone in his grief. Then Eli finds a stash of instructional cooking videos his mum made, revealing her dream of being a celebrity chef. With the help of the cute new neighbor boy Matthias, Eli decides to follow his mother's recipes using her videos. If he can recreate his mum's special dishes, then maybe a part of her can stay with him forever. But what happens when the videos run out? So to my thoughts, I am yet to give Phil Stamper anything outside of 5 stars, and having read The Gravity of Us, As Far As You'll Take Me, and Small Town Pride, and loving them all, I think Eli Over Easy is my favourite Phil Stamper book. So that says a lot. I give them all 5 stars. I think this one is my favourite. Stamper always includes a hard-hitting contemporary element, and this time it was grief and loss, and he did this really well. But he also finds a way to make his books fun, and this time he used culinary fiction to do so, which is one of my absolute favourite subgenres. Eli as a character is so fun and yet wholesome to follow as a character, and I really enjoyed meeting Matt Matthias also. Such a fantastic book, and I highly recommend 5 stars. Okay, we are halfway through, so let's keep right on rolling. The 7th book that I read in March of 2024 was this book, Tense Trails and Turmoil, which is book number 11 in the Campus and Criminals series by Tonya Kappas. I am currently doing a buddy read of this on my Discord. Link to my Discord is in the description, so feel free to come along and enjoy this with us. We read 3 books a month because the books are pretty short. So the premise of this one, once again, this is book number 11 in the series, is welcome to normal Kentucky, where nothing is normal. Mae West knows tourism, and nothing stops tourists like a dead body found in the Daniel Boone National Park. Unfortunately, Yaley Woodard, a local tour guide, is found dead at Happy Trails Campground. Mae is determined to put her amateur sleuthing skills to investigate along with the help of the Laundry Club girls. But when Yaley's past ends up being tied to forest trails and local Joel Grassel, Mae realizes Yaley's death has caused much more turmoil than she'd originally thought, and the killer might want to close the tourism in the Daniel Boone National Park for good. So to my thoughts, I really didn't find this one intriguing at all. I didn't know the person that died and therefore didn't have a ton of interest in the mystery. I also didn't enjoy most of Mae and Hank's time together in the book either. It's not a horrible book, it just wasn't to my taste, and because of that, I have to be honest, I gave it an average rating of 3 stars. The next book I read, therefore, was book number 12 in the same series, which is called Kickbacks, Kayaks, and Kidnapping. So, I'm buddy reading this, as I say, over on my Discord, and someone that I'm buddy reading it with has suggested to me that we refer to these titles as the 3 letters that are on the cover. So in this case, Kickbacks, Kayaks, and Kidnapping would be the 3Ks book. Yeah, I mean, it's fantastic alliteration, very hard to say, and not easily rememberable for the titles, but the 3Ks book. And this is, again, an adult cozy mystery, and I gave this particular one a total of 4 stars. So the premise of this one is when champion and Olympian kayaker Bryce Anderson turns over in his kayak dead, there's more than paddling going on, and his death has been ruled a homicide. News of Bryce's death spreads fast, and Happy Trails becomes the center of bad publicity. come camping with Mae West and the Laundry Club ladies as they put their sleuthing, well, nosy, caps on and put their skills to the test so they can figure out who killed the Olympian and save Happy Trails from financial ruin. So to my thoughts, good but not amazing, if that makes sense. I thought the mystery was intriguing, but kayaking doesn't interest me personally, so the cozy side wasn't for me personally. I'm loving Dottie more and more as I get through the series. She starts off incredibly harsh, but you can't help but love her by this point. I love Hank and Mae's relationship and love Mae as a sleuth, and I gave this one 4 stars. So the next book that I read was book number 13 in this series, Gear, Grills and Guns, otherwise entitled by me and the person I'm buddy reading this with as the 3Gs book. And I gave the 3Gs book a total of 3 stars. I premised this mini review by saying that, again, I did not think that this was necessarily a bad book. It's just not what I'd call a 5-star read. Alright, so the premise of this one, Mae West is bound to prove she deserves the seat she was appointed to on the National Park Committee when she brings a big car to show Normal during the slower fall month. But when Wendell Holliday's body is found dead in one of the Happy Trails campground's bungalows and one of the rental campers is burning to the ground, Mae, along with the help of the Laundry Club ladies, once again put on their sleuthing caps to figure out who is trying to sabotage Mae and her new position on the committee. So to my thoughts, I feel like Campers and Criminals is in a bit of a slog at the moment. There's nothing wrong with this book or the last 2, but they're just not as exciting as some of the others. I hope this changes soon. As always, I enjoyed Mae's sleuthing and love whenever Agnes makes an appearance, but otherwise the cover makes the book look more interesting than it personally was for me. However, and I gave this book 3 stars. However, the next book has the word eggnog in the title and a Christmas tree, and you all know how much I love Christmas reads, so I'm hoping that that means that book number 14 is going to be amazing. But 3 stars for this one. The next book that I read was this book, 5 Run Away Together, which is book number 3 in the famous 5 series by Enid Blyton. It is a middle grade classic book, and I gave this book a total of 5 stars. I have come into the famous 5 series wanting to read all of them by the end of this year. I've read probably about 5 of the books in the series so far. I had not read this one. So the premise of this one is who's been on George's Island and what is locked in the mysterious trunk hidden on Kieran Island. The famous 5 think they're on the trail of smugglers until they hear a child scream. So to my thoughts, I really enjoyed this book. I hadn't read this one before, as I said, and I'm glad I hadn't, as it may have scared me as a kid. But as an adult, I truly loved every single minute of it. I love how all 5 have their own individual qualities they bring to the group, and when they come together, they are truly an unstoppable force. A fantastic book, and I gave this book 5 stars. And that's where I would have left it, but I still had a week and a half left in March after reading that book. So I read the first 2 books, as I said, on my April TBR. And the first of those books was, yay, this book, Cursed Fates by Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti, book number 5 in the Zodiac Academy series. You'll know Mr. Francy had a good reading month if Mr. Francy got to read 2 Zodiac Academy books in the 1 month. Once again, this is an adult fantasy, romance, paranormal, yada yada. I mean, yeah, it's an adult fantasy, kind of like an adult version of Harry Potter with a lot of spice thrown in, so you have been warned. There is a lot of spice in this series, but otherwise it's like an adult version of Harry Potter, and I just love this series so much. I can't tell you how much I love this series. In fact, I will tell you a couple of nights ago, I had a dream that I was at Zodiac Academy, so even in, my unconscious, I'm living in this world. I love this series. Anyway, not surprisingly, once again, I gave this one 5 stars. So the premise of this one is after the devastating events at Zodiac Academy, we have to deal with this darker world we're faced with. Lionel seeks to hurt us. The nymphs seek to hunt the entire Fae race. And between all of it, we just have to try and survive each day as it comes. I'm afraid of everything falling apart, but it looks like it already has. So to my thoughts, as always with this series, I love this book. The series as a whole is so extremely enticing, so unputdownable, and each each book's ending comes with an extreme bookish hangover. Full credit to Caroline Peckham and Susan Valenti for that. Lots happened in this one, and Cursed Fates definitely seems like the right title for the book. My thoughts after finishing with Orion and Tori. I won't say more for the sake of spoilers, but my thoughts are with them. Once again, an overwhelming 5 stars. And the final book that I read in the amazing reading month for me of March 2024, is a book that's helped me to close out a series. And that is this book, Love and Olives by Jenna Evans Welch. This is book 3 of 3 in the Love and Gelato trilogy. It is a YA romance contemporary, and I gave this particular book 5 stars. Yeah, so just very quickly, I have now closed out this series, and every book got 5 stars. But I didn't necessarily think that this book was going to get that rating the whole way through. The premise of this book is that when Liv arrives in gorgeous Santorini, things are just as awkward as she imagined. There are so many questions, so many emotions that flood to the surface after seeing her father for the first time in years. Liv doesn't want to get sucked back into her father's world. She also definitely does not want Teo, her father's charismatic so-called protege, to witness her struggle. Even so, she can't help but be charmed by everything that Santorini has to offer. The beautiful sunsets, the turquoise water, the sun-drenched villages, and the delicious cuisine. But not everything on the Greek island is as perfect as it seems, because as Liv slowly begins to discover, her father may not have invited her to Greece for Atlantis, but for something much more important. So to my thoughts. The book opened up really well and then started to dip for me, and I felt like it dragged on a little too long. I seriously thought I was going to give this book 2 or 3 stars for a decent chunk of it. But then something happened in the last quarter that made me realize just how invested I have become in the characters and the plot itself. Jenna Evans Welch has undeniably written 3 amazing stories in this trilogy, and I feel quite honoured to have read all of them now. A particular shout out to her portrayal of Greece and her theories on the lost city of Atlantis, and I gave this book 5 stars. And just once again want to reiterate that because I was making a mention of it before I read out my review to you all, but yeah. The book opened up really well. Then, after the first quarter, I thought, oh my gosh, this book is dragging. I gave books 1 and 2 5 stars. This is probably going to get 3. By the time I got to the end of the third quarter, I thought this book's probably going to get 2 stars from me. And then the final quarter began, and I was laying down. I sat bolt upright and went, oh my gosh, seriously? And realized with that emotional reaction just how invested I was, not only in the plot, but these amazing characters that Jenna Evans Welch writes. So, not only does Love and Olives get 3 stars, but every book in this, get 5 stars, but every book in this series got 5 stars. Whether it be Love and Gelato, Love and Luck, or Love and Olives, they all got 5 stars, and that is 15 out of 15. It's a perfect 100%. Congratulations, Jenna Evans Welch. What a way to end the month, and what a way to end this mammoth monthly wrap, and I'm glad that I was able to fit every review in prior to the half-hour mark, because I was getting a bit concerned there. Alright, so yeah, if you haven't checked out my April TBR, I have a video for my April TBR that's already out. Feel free to go and check that out, because I do discuss in that one how my reading of the last 2 books I read in March, being originally from my April TBR, how that affects my April TBR moving forward. But yeah, an amazing month as you can see overall. 7 out of 12, the 12 books that I read got 5 stars. It was a phenomenal reading month. I hope you had a phenomenal reading month as well. But that is it. That is where I am going to leave it for the month of March. We are officially through the first quarter of the year. Can you believe it? I certainly can't. Alright, let's keep going, y'all. I'm going to let you all go with peace, blessings, and so much love. Please do be kind and love one another and spread your sparkling energy all throughout the world. And until next time, say it with me. Happy reading. Bye, everyone.